welcome back to Some Gal of a Podcast. My name is Ren. I am your host. Every time you click on this silly little show, if you're new here, hello and welcome. Basically what this is a random kind of like stream of consciousness, very lightly edited podcast where it's usually just me. Sometimes I have guests. You should definitely check out those previous episodes. But I just talk about something that's on my mind, on my heart. Sometimes it's fun and lighthearted. Sometimes it's like deeply controversial. It's kind of whatever I want it to be. So thank you for being here. This podcast was born of just saying I was going to do so many things someday, and you just have to make your someday today. So that's what I'm doing. Today is the day I have a podcast. But today I kind of wanted to talk about AI and just kind of what I see from my perspective. So I teach or tutor English as a second language to people all over the world. And I mean, we all know that ChatGPT is like living it up in our lives now. Like we are becoming reliant on it, I feel like a little bit. And it's very helpful. I'm not going to say that it's not. I use it often, especially to help with planning or these lessons that I have with English students. It also helps me to come up with ideas, not only for the lessons, but of exercises. It creates practice questions, things that are actually kind of difficult to just find out on the internet, like other resources. So it has been wonderful, and I'm thankful for it. But with that, I think there's a lot of different angles I could come with this, and maybe we'll cover them all. I think we also have to consider the environmental impact that AI is having. It was recently brought to my attention through an Instagram post, and I don't know remember what their source was or like where they found it. So I did a little bit of my own research actually, and according to earth.org, do with that information what you will, ChatGPT is kind of messing our shit up a little bit. It produces a lot of carbon dioxide into the environment and uses a lot of water. So actually people in the tech industry or people that like with green backgrounds are actually calling for more sustainable practices in the development of AI. Because it's actually really intense. According to this earth.org and this article, ChatGPT, just as itself, as its own entity, is emitting over 8 tons of carbon dioxide per year. Yeah, that's a lot. I don't know. I don't want to get political, but I do think that in my personal life, I'm trying to find ways to become more green because unfortunately we can't rely on these big companies and big businesses and big entities to do that. But also we have to consider what we are putting our money and our energy and time towards, in our daily lives. Yes, I think that ChatGPT makes my life easier, and I think it helps so many people in their day-to-day lives and jobs and things today. But we also have to consider we are pushing that environmental impact. And so I guess I'm just begging the question, how do we find a balance maybe? How do we balance it out? I'm not saying everyone should stop using it because I don't know. I don't have any answers. But I think that there is a lot of ways that we could move towards greener development. But unfortunately, that's not going to we can't rely on these big entities to do that, right? We as individuals need to make those conscious decisions. And when ChatGPT is used all over the world. I think every single one of my students in countries all over has expressed that they use it. Like high school students, people in marketing, people in chemical engineers, all sorts of people in different fields of work, in different parts of their lives. People are using this all over the world for many different things. Basically, I'm just noting all of that to mention that this is a big giant and we kind of have to rely on ourselves to make those conscious decisions. That's just one part of it. And I could go into a lot more depth about the environmental impacts of ChatGPT, but also, AI in general. I also want to touch on the interpersonal effects that AI is having. Also, in reference to the job market, I think we've been seeing this for years now of a lot of people we're losing out on jobs in the market, like, menial jobs, I guess you could say, because they're being taken over by the AI. And I don't mean taken over like, oh, we're all gonna, like the world's gonna end and we're all gonna die because of AI and robots. That's not what I'm saying. But with the development of these self-checkouts and these self-ordering kiosks at fast food restaurants, like those are taking away the jobs of individuals. But it also makes things very convenient for us, but it also removes that personal human connection in some ways. Like we probably don't think about this a lot, but when we walk into a restaurant, even if it's fast food or we're going through the drive-through, whatever, like to actually speak to a person that like we need that because we are humans at the end of the day. We are not robots. We are not computers. And so we need that sort of human connection. And sometimes we lack that because we are becoming so reliant on and almost addicted to this artificial intelligence, these computers, these even ChatGPT can become sort of like a therapist. And I spoke about this with some of my students, how like a lot of people are now relying on this instead of going to therapy. Like, give me advice about this crazy situation that happened today, or what should I do if I feel lonely? Like, and ChatGPT is giving these answers. And so I think that the development of AI, while it has been amazing and has done so many great things for our society, I also think we do have to consider how we're using it and if we are becoming reliant on it. Another example, kind of switching gears, but on the same note, is that young students are using this and relying on this to do their homework, write their papers, fix their grammar. But what happens when we're relying on it so much that we're not actually learning anything? Is this going to kind of circulate us back to a time of complete illiteracy? If we just have AI and ChatGPT to create our papers and fix our grammar and give us advanced vocabulary to put into our papers, but we're not using these words, learning how to incorporate them, like, are we learning anything if we're just relying on this technology to do this work for us? But on the other hand, because it's not all one way, I understand that this is so nuanced and it's so like polarizing in a lot of ways. Like, using AI can help us create free time in our own lives to then have that human connection, go meet up with a friend and catch up, take a walk outside instead of spending that extra hour working on something that before AI we may have been spending a lot more time on. So there is definitely pros and cons to it. I don't want this to be like a one-sided argument. I think the call to action here is just to really consider how we're using it. And I think that the people that listen to this podcast, I don't know for sure. I haven't looked deep into the demographics, but it's not people that have the power to make change in the government, in our government, or our international legislation. It's not the people that are probably not the people that are developing these technologies, but I think it should challenge us as individuals to consider what we're doing and how it's actually affecting the world around us and our own selves. Like, again, with social interaction and having that true human connection, having a real conversation with someone, voice to voice, face to face, whatever that might be. Technology is continuing to advance at the craziest rate. Like, I'm imagining even like 20 years ago how we were all like, I don't know, having like flip phones and Palm Pilots, and that was like really advanced technology. But like the rate at which this technology and artificial intelligence has been advancing, I think we are not able to keep up with it in our own like human lives, if that makes sense. And so I think we do need to challenge ourselves. We are so addicted now to convenience. And this is just like another form of that. And so I think we really have to consider the effects that it has on our day-to-day lives, on our own personal, social interactions, our ability to get social cues and operate on a social level, even like it's like the most basic human needs, right? Connecting with people. Also, the effect that it's having on the environment, not only like ChatGPT, but literally any other entity. There is a lot of ways that we have learned that we can have clean, renewable energy sources, right? Through solar energy, through hydro energy, or whatever it's called, through, what is the wind energy called? Yeah, I guess just wind energy and wind turbines. We are knowledgeable about these resources, but we're not using them. And why is that? Well, let's consider how oil and burning oil, it's like a bazillion dollar company or industry. And so I was talking to a friend too, like we have to be really conscious, especially in today's day and age, where we're putting our money, what companies we're putting our money into, what do these companies support. And it sucks to have to do that research. It sucks. And it also sucks to lose those kind of conveniences. But if we want this world to survive, if we want to have children and grandchildren and great grandchildren that will be able to survive, we are using up our resources much farther than they are renewing. You know what I mean? And so I think that is something that we need to talk about and push into our legislation. I think I'm learning so much more as an individual. I need to be calling my senators, holding people accountable that are in power, that do have the power to push change in legislation. And I'm just talking about in the United States. I don't know exactly how things go in plenty of other countries, but doing our best to make our voices heard and hold these people accountable, because we can make change and we need to. It's really, we're at the point where we need to, because we're using up our resources so much faster than we, can bear to. And so, yeah. So that part is important, right? The environmental impacts, the social impacts, personal impacts. Guys, if we are not, like, we are affected by everything else. Everything is connected, right? So like when our environment is struggling, so are we. When our friends are struggling mentally, socially, so are we. Like it's all connected, and we need to just be mindful of these effects. Also, like, we should be holding our students, our friends, like our family accountable for learning. I really fear that we are moving towards we're cycling back, right? This is evolutionary, how we are cycling through a time period where less and less people are literate to a level that it really matters. Like even with the rise of TikTok and all of that, I would love to have one of my friends that's a teacher, I have a few of them, onto this podcast maybe this summer, just to talk about the effects of like AI that they see in their schools. I think that TikTok has also had a major impact on the education level of students. There now has actually been peer-reviewed studies talking about the effects of these entities or these technological advances that are having on the education of students. And these are the people that are going to be taking care of us when we're old, right? Like we want them to be knowledgeable. We want them to have wisdom and understand the ways that the world works more than like watching funny videos online. Like, yes, we all do it. I'm not saying we shouldn't. That's not at all what I'm saying. But there needs to be some sort of accountability and some sort of like, I think we need to make sure that we are like nurturing our education and the education of the kids, of the younger generations right now. And that comes back to the AI of like, we're becoming more illiterate, it feels like. And then also we're not thinking for ourselves. We're relying solely on what ChatGPT or some random person on the internet is telling us. We're not doing that actual research. We're not, actually deciding what we think for ourselves. We're basing it all on, if I can just type it into the search bar and say, write me a paper on the effects of, I don't know, the Green New Deal back in the day. Like if we never actually learn those things, again, history is going to repeat itself. That's a huge thing. History is going to repeat itself again with the illiteracy, with the lack of wisdom and knowledge about our environment. We have the tools in this day and age to learn and really understand and analyze the impacts of the things that we're doing. But now I feel like we're regressing, we're devolving, we're going backwards on, the things that we've worked for and built to understand the world around us. I don't know. And again, it goes both ways. I have had so many times that AI has helped me. It has helped me with my marketing job, with my teaching job, a lot of things in the workplace. It has also helped me to brainstorm ideas for creative endeavors, which I think is so funny because that presents like a whole nother problem of like, is art really art if it's not made by a human? And one of my favorite creators on YouTube, Curtis Connor, actually did a whole video about this kind of like the art made by artificial intelligence and like what Like, how do you define art? And that's like a whole other side of it. But I don't know. And I think all the movies and old books and things that said, oh, one day we're going to be taken over by robots, even though it's not in the exaggerated way, it's kind of how we're living our lives right now. And we do have to, I think it's our responsibility as human beings and the people who live in the society and create the society. I think it is I think it's our responsibility to kind of dive into that a little more and question everything and work towards just being responsible in the things that we consume, how we use things, our carbon footprint, our social interactions, our own education. There's so many things. And this is why it's such an intersecting topic, because obviously it brings all of these differing fields into one, right? And they intersect and they overlap. And that's why, I don't know, it just goes back to the idea of how we are multidimensional beings and our world is very multidimensional. And there's so many different ways to look at things, perspectives, but I feel like we've become so 2D and flat in like how we look at things, and it shouldn't be that way. There is a nuance in everything. There's different perspectives in everything. I actually read a quote in the book that I'm currently reading, Half Broke Horses by Jeanette Walls. I really liked this quote, and it was like, the only difference between a traitor and a patriot is perspective. And I think that's so true about so many things, right? Obviously in the way that we show up in our political places, our political environments, but also in everything. Everything is affected and reliant upon our perspective, how we see things, how we're looking at the world. And we should be challenging our own perspectives and questioning everything and trying to gain access to another point of view. And I love that. I love doing that. And I think as I'm getting older, I'm continuing to do that in a lot of different ways. Though I have very strong beliefs and I stick to my guns in so many things, like it does come down to finding other perspectives. And that's in so many different ways and different areas of our lives. But all that to say, I think we do need to challenge ourselves, challenge our friends, our family, our communities of how we are using this artificial intelligence and its effect on us and our world. Looking past the convenient part of it, how do we strike a balance? Can we strike a balance? Do we need to cut it out altogether? How do we do that when we are not the ones creating it or in charge of its usage or in charge of, the rules and regulations? But we make up the society that we live in, and so we need to be pushing back. The alternative is silence, and that's just not good enough for me. So yeah, there's my little soapbox for today. I feel good about it. And now I will share with you, I realized in my last episode, I forgot to have my guests give you their song recommendations, but I got them retrospectively. And I did put them in the description of the last episode. So check that out if you have not yet. We are talking about hot takes. It got hot in there. And that's featuring my sister and our friend Jackie. So definitely check that out. But now it's that time of the episode, the best time, where I share my tunes with you. Music connects us all. It really, really does. It's the basis of who we are and how we understand ourselves and the world around us. So based on the on repeat playlist that Spotify makes for me, based on what I have been listening to on repeat, I will give you a song recommendation. I actually don't have any guesses because I think I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately, but let's see what it has to tell me. Okay, I'm pretty sure I've featured this song before, so I'll give you my top two at the moment. Modern Love by All Time Low. This is a song that's like, now that it's spring and the weather's changing, it's like windows down, like scream out the window type of song. And so I think that's why it's been on repeat, because the weather has been beautiful here out in Virginia. So there's that. It's a great song. You should definitely listen to it. But also, I will recommend What Am I Missing by the band Camino. Another song that just makes you want to like scream the lyrics. And it just has a nice beat. The chorus goes hard, but also the verses are just kind of like fun and bouncy, kind of like a breakup song, but just really great song overall. But go listen to those. They'll be linked in the description, and let me know your thoughts. I always want this to be a conversation. I don't want this to be one-sided. I want to hear your perspectives. So my DMs are always open on Instagram at Live and Large with All Crew, or I think you can comment here on Spotify or on the other platforms. wherever you find your podcasts. Thank you for being here so much. It does mean the world to me. Keep pushing those boundaries, and I will catch you in the next one. Don't forget to make your someday today. Go after your dreams. Okay, thank you.